Hey guys, in this video I'm going to teach you how to Dockerize Flet, and no Docker knowledge is required, so if you don't know anything about Docker, it's completely okay. So without any further ado, let's start. Okay, the first step is that we're going to go to Google and type Docker. Alright, so here as you can see, this is the Docker website and this is the software that we need to install. We have download for Windows, Mac, and Linux. So based on your operating system, choose the correct one. In my case, I have Windows, so I just click on this. And we wait for the download to finish. Okay, once the download's finished, we're going to go to our downloads and install Docker for desktop. So it says here configuration, use WSL2 instead of Hyper-V recommended and add shortcut to desktop. We're going to keep these two checked and click OK. And we wait for Docker desktop to finish installing. Alright, once we see this installation succeeded, we close this. And to test that Docker has been installed successfully, I'm just going to open command prompt and type Docker here. And even if I type Docker -- version, we can see the version that we have. Now I'm going to say here, when you're trying to install Docker, if you see this message for any reason, what I did to solve this problem was to install older versions of Docker. So I tried to install from this, but it didn't work. And what I did was I went to this URL, and I'm going to put this URL in the description. I went to this URL and as you can see, this is the latest version for now, and it didn't work for me. It showed me this error, so I had to install this version. Yes, 4.32. So if for any reason you get this error, that's how I fixed it. So for the next step, what we're going to do is go to this URL. It's a GitHub. It's a Flet example that I made, and it's a very simple code for Dockerizing Flet locally. So I'm going to copy this, go to PyCharm, get from VSC, and clone. So it starts cloning, and so in this project we have some files. We have a requirement.txt that has Flet in it. We have a readme.md that explain the process of Dockerizing Flet. We have a main.py that has all the codes. And we have a Docker file that we will talk about. And we have a Docker ignore and assets like font, images, and some sound effects. Okay, let's first create a virtual environment. And go ahead to terminal and pip install flet. So the flet starts downloading in our virtual environment. Alright, so first let's test the code. So I'm going to type flet -r-w-p port 8000. So -r simply means that every time I change anything in this directory, the server will reload. And -w simply means that it's going to be for web, and -p is the port that we're going to run the server, and 8000 is port 8000. So as you can see here, we have some interesting things. So for the view, I set it to none, and for the port, I set it to 8000, and the host is 0.0.0.0. So this might get your attention, and I remember when I was trying to Dockerize Flet, I see this code in a GitHub discussion. I think that I don't have the link right now, but I remember I saw it somewhere. So this works pretty much. And if I run this code, and I go to this URL, this is the simple code. So it has a picture, it has a button. When I enter the code, when I enter the app, it says who painted this. It's Mona Lisa by Da Vinci. And when I hit the correct answer, I get a sound effect as well. So as you can see, it's a very simple code that I created a long time ago, like I think a year or older than that. I think it was 1 year ago, I don't know. So the reason I included some assets is that I think people usually get to trouble when they want to link to their assets. So a couple of things I want to talk about here is that, as you can see, when I'm trying to link the font, the image, or for example, the sound effect, I'm not linking it like this. I'm not saying assets like this. It's just a / and images, / SFX, and / fonts here. So you don't have to write / assets / fonts, just / fonts like this. And I included this note in the readme.md as well. So throughout this whole process, the Docker desktop should be open, and for linking the assets directory, don't use / assets and just use / instead. So now let's Dockerize this. Make a Docker image. So the thing I'm going to do is open Docker desktop. Docker subscription service agreement, accept. For now, let's continue without signing in. What's your role? Full stack developer. What will you use Docker for? For learning or teaching? And yeah, this is the graphical user interface for Docker. So as you can see, there are some parts here. We have containers, we have images, we have volumes, build, Docker, Scout, and extensions. All right, in order to Dockerize this, let's Control-C and exit this, clear, and type this, Docker build -t. Let's call it Flet Dockerize and dot. So what this line of code does is that it builds a Docker image from this tag, and this is the name of the image, Flet Dockerize. And what this dot does is that it Dockerizes this entire directory that we're in. We're in this directory, and it Dockerizes the whole directory from this part to this part. Let's build it. We got this error, and let's check why. Okay, let's create a DockerHub account. We're going to continue with Google. Mr. Django. Continue. Mr.Django. Okay, let's sign up. And click on sign in our Docker desktop. So if we get this error, I think the solution is to create a DockerHub account and log in. Yes. So if you got that 4.1 unauthorized error, just create a DockerHub account and you'll be good. So as you can see right now, it's building the image for us. It goes through line by line. So from Python 3 app line, working directory app, copy requirement.txt. This is the requirement.txt. Run pip install no cache directory -r requirements.txt. What this line does, it copies everything, expose port 8000 as we have in the main.py code. And the command is that it's going to run Python main.py. So it's going to run this file. And we just wait for this build to finish. All right, as you can see, the image finished building. It says building. It took this amount of time and it's finished. So if I come to Docker desktop, it's this image. So the name is Flet Dockerized. The tag is latest. Status is unused because we haven't used it yet. And it was created 2 seconds ago. The size is 300 megabytes. So this is a very cool part. I can either run this with this or from command line. So let's first try to run it from command line. So I'm going to copy this command, docker run -p. This is the port, the host port, and the server port. And we're going to write flet dockerize. And it starts running. And if I come to my Docker desktop and come to container here, this is the container that is running. So what's happened here is that it created a container from this image. And if I go to Google and if I go to Chrome and I type here this URL, we can see our app and it's being run from Docker. So if I come here and I exit this, it won't be running anymore and it finishes running. So yeah, that's the beautiful part. And also, as you can see from here, it stopped. The status says exited and it's no longer working. So I can delete this. And this time, let's run it from the graphical user interface. So I'm going to put 80 here and say run. And if I rerun this, you can see it's working again. So you can do it from both parts. So as you can see here, let's talk about this part. This is the container that is being run right now. So if I click on it, this is the log section, inspect, bind mounts, executable files, and stats. So in the files, we have our app. There's docker ignore, .git, .idea, .vnv, assets, all the things that we need. And the thing is, in this Docker file, as you can see, it says from Python 3 Alpine. This is one of the versions of Linux, Alpine, and it's very small compared to Ubuntu and other versions. It's safe, it's secure, and it's very small in size. And the thing is, usually in Ubuntu, the the line that we write is apt install something, right? But in outline we write apk, and it's not the apk from Android. It's a different thing. And yeah, so you can also execute commands here as well. So let's go ahead and stop this and delete this. So this is the image. So let's go to our readme.md. So we built an image, we create a DockerHub account. And the thing is, we don't need to run these two commands because we're already logged in. So if I write docker login, it says login succeeded. So we don't need to log in because we've already logged in the Docker desktop. So the thing is, usually when you try to host your Docker image, let's say from a service that offers cloud hosting, like fly.io or other cloud hosting websites, you usually need a repository in your DockerHub in order to achieve this. It's pretty similar to GitHub, but it's in DockerHub. And the way we're going to create a repository in our DockerHub, so let's first go to our DockerHub. So this is our DockerHub account, right? So if I go to my profile, as you can see, there are no repositories here, but let's create one. I'm going to copy this. For simplicity, let's first write it in Notepad. So project name, the project that we just created right now is Flet Dockerize. And from here, as you can see, we also need to provide the tag. So the tag is latest. Latest. So your name, the account that we created is Mr. Django 98, and repository name. We have to give it a repository name. I'm going to just call this quiz. And for the tag, I'm just going to name it version 1. And I'm going to copy this, paste it here, and enter. So as you can see, this image has been made from our Flet Dockerize, and right now we just need to push it. So let's copy this, come here and Docker push your name, Mr. Django, yeah, just this. And it starts pushing our local repository that we just created, this one, to our DockerHub. And we just need to wait for this. This might take some time, so just wait. Now, sometimes when it starts freezing like this, it's been freezing for some time now, you can just exit and rerun the command. And this is just a very simple tip that I've learned. And yeah, it's finished. Beautiful. So right now, if I go to my DockerHub and refresh this, you can see this is my repository in DockerHub. So you can use this to host your image on services that provide cloud hosting or container hosting. Okay guys, in this video we learned how to Dockerize Flet, and I'll see you in the next video.